Labour proposed to government in 2020 to allow workers to access a portion of their pension funds. This is to augment the reduction in salaries due to the impact of COVID-19, as well as to address the high level of household indebtedness. The COVID-19 hard lockdown restrictions have come and gone, but their impact continues to affect millions of workers. Cosatu says that workers cannot afford to have any more delays and are hoping that the legislation will come into effect in April next year. In terms of the proposed law, workers in the private sector will be able to access 1/3 of their pension fund and 2/3 will need to be preserved for retirement. Cosatu is not happy about the delays in implementing the pension reforms legislation.
It's difficult to explain those delays to workers who are struggling to survive, who have lost wages, who are supporting spouses who have lost their jobs, who are drowning in debt, and they're seeing they have these pension funds available, and many workers, as a result, are simply resigning from their jobs so they can cash out their entire pension fund, which really it makes the situation worse than because they're now unemployed, and again they've depleted the pension fund. But we hope when we maintain the pressures on government and treasury, we hope we will see a bill in August and that it can come into effect by April next year.
The National Treasury released 2 retirement reform discussion papers in December last year for public comment. The documents emphasize the need to increase retirement fund preservation before retirement and partial access to retirement funds through a 2-pot system. Cosatu has acknowledged that some pension funds might have liquidity challenges, but it wants workers who are highly indebted to be prioritized rather than trustees having a final say on who should be allocated the funds. Retirement industry and unions are currently at odds over a feasible way to let workers access their retirement savings.
We don't want a situation where trustees can simply refuse to give workers any relief at all. So there needs to be a balance between preserving the pension funds and the sustainability of that fund. But equally, there has to be some relief given to those workers, and it needs to be meaningful enough to enable them to get out of the crisis. We think, for example, one compromise can be that you allow, when you're making those decisions about who receives money, we can put a criteria in place. We can say workers who are highly indebted, or workers who have lost wages, or workers who are experiencing financial distress, they can be prioritized over other workers.
Cosatu wants the legislation to include workers in both the private sector and the public sector, but it remains to be seen whether the partial withdrawal of pension fund will not exacerbate the poor savings culture in the country. Naledi Matlapeng, SABC News, Johannesburg.